we don't have an identity. It's being eroded, been taken from us. Things like nursery rhymes we don't have. I know it sounds daft. Our nation's food has drastically changed.
Like fish and chips?
Yeah, but even your standard
Do you think there's less fish and chips now in the UK?
Meat and two veg. We're a coffee nation, not a tea nation anymore.
Why are you here today?
I'm here today because I'm a proud Englishman and I've had enough of this country being taken away from us, from government more than anything, the elites, the globalists.
So it's St. George's Day and he's one of our national heroes, and a lot of our values, they were taught to us. Well, we learned them from him.
We've come for our grandchildren because we don't want them to grow up having to hide in a room talking about how things used to be in this country. We want them to be as they were in our country.
And talk to me about your sign.
My sign, obviously it's a nod to Gideon Flater with regards to the openly Jewish on the street, which I totally disagree with. We should be completely equal in our country and we're not.
If you are a nationalist, if you are proud to be English, proud to be British, they will push you down. It's a government agenda.
What do you think about the state of the UK right now?
I think it's in a terrible state.
Why do you think that?
Because they're supporting the wrong things and not looking at, you know, like they were saying that we're trouble causing, and we're not. We're here to take back something of ours. We have all different saints' days going on, all different religious days going on. So it was just something
like St. George's Day?
Yeah.
Why do you say that we're not equal? What do you mean by that?
I just think there's a lot of unfairness going on within the country. This country, it's no longer equal to all. It used to be, or we tried to be, so back in the 90s, we were all talking about equal opportunities. Then we went into inclusivity and diversity, and somewhere along the way we've lost ourselves and we're not equal at all. There are some people, you know, it is that, you know, the old adage about some are more equal than others.
Could you provide some examples of where like it's happened to you?
I probably don't really want to say anything.
And you said the country being taken away from you. Could you give some examples of what you mean by that?
Well, that's a tricky question. You chuck that in there, didn't you? Yes, yeah. I mean, you can have a Palestinian march through our own capital, and then you have someone with an English flag being arrested on the same day.
In the police presence, every time they've actually been against me. I'm just an innocent English woman standing up and just putting my voice, which is my right to do so.
For example, when it was Armistice Day, we saw a lot of violence going on between the protesters and the police. Do you think that perhaps this is tainting the image of, for example, people here today and the cause they're trying to represent?
I personally don't think it does, because I think it's the government and the Met Police failing to provide an adequate level of care, so people feel as if they have to step up and take it into their own hands.
I came on the day when we protected the cenotaph and also the...
Do you think you protected the cenotaph?
We weren't even allowed near it.
There were reports of clashes here today between the protesters and the police. What do you think of that?
I'm not sure how true that is.
I haven't seen any clashes.
Where were the clashes? You know, lies will always be found out, and that's a lie.
I didn't see that. I did not see.
This is it today.
Oh, okay.
For example, a police horse was hit in the face with an umbrella. Ooh. What do you think of that?
Let's just say that's true. That never should have happened. Yeah, so that man needs to be arrested if he did that.
In terms of the state of the UK, what do you think of that?
Gone to hell in a handcart. So back in the day, my heart and soul was everything about the establishment, the police, how we are governed. It was the way it was right and it was just. And as I've got older, you realise that again, it's not all equal.
You feel like you've got a good future living here?
Well, that's what we want to make it, a good future.
What do you think needs to be changed?
The government for a start. That's it.
What do you think of the government?
I don't think anything of it at the minute. It's not doing anything for the country.
Would you say that Rishi Sunak is doing a good job?
I'll pass judgment on that one, thank you.
He's a waste of space.
Yeah, I think it's time he went home now.
Boris Johnson was better, and that's saying something. The biggest problem we've got at the moment is we've got two major parties, and there is no difference between the two.
Yes.
Rishi Sunak is a waste of space, and if Keir Starmer gets into power, God help us all.
My eldest son, when people were talking recently about maybe going to war, he actually said to me, he says, Mum, he said, back in the day, I would have gone to war because that's what you do for your country. He said, however, look at me, I'm 34, I still live at home, I've got no chance of getting a property, I can't even afford to get a property with work, he's always worked. Says, therefore, I can't get a wife and I also can't have children. Says, I see that pass me by, so why would I go to war?
Who would you like to see as leader instead?
Tony Robinson.
Do you think?
Yeah.
If you asked me 3 years ago what I thought of Tommy Robinson, I wouldn't have been very nice. But I stopped believing what the mainstream media said, and I actually looked on the internet and found videos from him, tried to look for some racist things he said or done, and there aren't any out there.
He's highlighting quite a few issues which the mainstream media won't touch, and the government just brushes under the carpet.
What are those issues?
So, like Islamism, how the government's not doing enough against Islamism. Sometimes globalists and the globalist world order, which where the government.
Doesn't that have lots of links to conspiracy, though?
It kind of is.
I don't believe any of the mainstream reporting anymore.
On anything.
Where do you get your news from now?
Maya Tusi and other YouTube videos.
YouTube's more reliable than...
Yes, I do. An independent reporter has got nothing to gain by lying.
You have to listen to both sides, but the truth of it is, I think the YouTube news channels have more freedom on what they're allowed to report than the mainstream channels do.
Less editorial guidelines. People could say that there's connotations of racism, for example, with people here. What do you think of that?
I've not felt any racism here. There might be a few racists here, but there's always good and bad in every group, everywhere. So we do our best to fight them and just like not let them have a platform or anything, but some will always get through.